Hello everybody and welcome back to this episode in our Planet Zoo Let's Build. I'm Gary and today we're diving into the creation of a beautiful grasslands enclosure. So let's get started. So in today's episode we start by building that path that's going to go around the entire enclosure. And I'm setting up the barriers, and I decided to have a little play about with the curved section, the curved option on the walls, but I still need some more practice on doing that. So I'm just building the basic structure just now, and I want this one to be the plan was for this to be an exhibit that the guests could walk through. So I'm going to add in some guest gates as well as the staff gate. And I realised I didn't put any water trays in the porcupine enclosure, so I went ahead and added those and got some extra staff because we're getting a lot of litter. There's a lot of maintenance issues going on, so I needed to get those added in. So this is me just putting in some guest gates, and yeah, that was an experience. I mean, the guests absolutely love walking through this enclosure, but the animals not so much. So I thought this would be a fantastic way for getting the guests close to the animals, because how often do you get to walk amongst African animals like aardvarks and gazelles? Not very often. Every zoo I've been to, there have been enclosures you can walk through, but they were actually mainly birds, the aviaries and the butterfly houses and things, so there's a reason for that. So I'm going through and I'm getting some animals, and I use the Zoopedia file thing to see what animals could actually cohabitat together in a mixed species house. So I settled for some aardvarks. I got 2 aardvarks, a male and a female, and then 2 different types of gazelles. I got the Dharma gazelle and the Thompson gazelle, I believe, because I wanted it to be kind of realistic, that you would have this mix of animals living together in the wild. It would make sense that you would have them living together in a zoo. Well, it doesn't make sense. Zoos are a bit of a funny thing, aren't they? Is it right to have animals kept in zoos and enclosures? I guess for the protection of some species it makes sense, but in other ways it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I do enjoy visiting a zoo. Oh, that's my creaky chair. I do enjoy visiting a zoo, but I want the animals to be happy. So I'm just double checking on my porcupines, and this is me getting some extra stuff. So I've added my animals to the enclosure, and now I'm going through and I'm fixing up the terrain and making sure the enrichment's all there, because I want the animals to be happy. So I'm adding grass and rocks and trees and other natural elements to make the habitat feel and look more realistic, as well as some enrichment for their environment. And I try to make all my enclosures big so that they do have plenty of space, because if they're going to be in this big glass box, I want them to have lots of space. And as you can see, the guests are flocking through. So getting all my enrichments set up. Here come the gazelles. And there's only 6 animals in this enclosure. I do realise that for their social need, they used to be in bigger packs. But my idea is you get a male and a female and they create their own pack. So rather than competing for who's going to be the alpha, they're naturally making that pack. So yeah, lots of guests in here. And I'm adding in some reeds because they need places to hide. Their welfare was very low because they were stressed because of how many people were in their enclosure and their interaction with humans. So I go through and I'm trying my hardest to create these hiding spaces for them, but it just wasn't working. So adding in all these rocks so that they do, in their shelter, that it's actually a shelter and it's hard to see in, but it just wasn't working. Added in some burrows. I thought the aardvarks might like to go and hide in a burrow. They don't. So yeah, in the end I just took out that guest path. It was causing too many problems. The guests weren't being quiet. The animals were stressed out. So it just had to go. A group of protesters turned up because the welfare of these animals was so low. And I don't blame them. If an animal is that stressed out because you're just walking through a path in their enclosure, the animal comes first in a zoo. I mean, you can just see I would be stressed out if I was living in that space and there's all these people just walking through my house. I don't like people coming into my house at the best of times. So, yeah. Oh, look at the little gazelles trying to swim there. How cute. So I go through and I check and I check. When they're in the shelters, they're absolutely fine. But I don't like seeing that red. I hate seeing that red. So I try and add some more hide-in spaces. But it just didn't work. It's not right for them. So the only thing I could do was take out that guest path and guest gates. I don't know, maybe you can let me know down in the comments below, but would having a path over the top, would that still stress the animals out, or would they be fine with that? Because I'm thinking the next one's going to be elephants and giraffes, so you kind of need to be up high to see a giraffe. So yeah, I don't know, would a path over those enclosures, would it still cause the animals stress, or... And now that we haven't got a guest path, because when I was looking at the animals, I saw that guests won't go in an enclosure if there's zebras in there, so I can add some zebras and some buffaloes to this mixed species enclosure and make it feel more like the grasslands. So there we go, the guest path has been removed and we're putting the barriers back in. So yeah, like, once we've got some elephants and giraffes and some buffaloes and zebras in place, that'll be this Africa section pretty much done. So we can start doing the final theming and finish off this Africa zone, make sure we've got enough guest services and staff centres. And yeah, we can move on to the next one, which I think I'm going to do the rainforest. So final touches to the enclosure, make sure the terrain and everything's all nice for all the animals, trying to find that balance because the different animals have different requirements for what they want their terrain and nature to be like. So I think I've hit a happy balance, and yeah, that will be a wrap for this Grasslands episode. So like I said, it will be elephants and giraffes and zebras and buffaloes next time, and then we'll do the fine tuning and the theming for the whole area, close it off with some African fences, and that'll be that. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe down below. I will be streaming on Twitch as well. I'll be following the career path on Twitch, so if you want to follow me on there and come along and watch for some longer plays and not some speed builds, that'll be absolutely brilliant. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.